Back on the Vintage Talk Show with the Five. And I've been chatting with Tokumbo Jekunle and Alex Ogundadegbe. Of course, the FIFA has been on the sideline. And we are moving on to our main interview section, talking points. We have as our guest this morning, retired Navy Commodore, former military intelligence officer, ex-deputy director of Defense Administration at the Defense Headquarters, now a professor of global security studies and head of Department of Criminology, Christian University, Abeokuta in Ogun State. It's a great pleasure to have you this morning.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for having me.
Kunle Olawunmi, good morning. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you. Prof, you probably have listened a little bit to our discussion on the supplementary budget with 500 billion allotted, seemingly, so dealing with our security issues. It's almost an overwhelming situation for us. Yeah. Do you believe that fund will be adequate? Will you subscribe to such amount, or how it could be used effectively to stem the insecurity in the land?
Thank you very much for that question. I know that my years in the military has proven to me that usually those monies are not used for what they are meant for. Recall that I was also a deputy defense attaché to about 8 European countries between 2003 and 2007, 4 years. One of my principal duties was to monitor and provide, enablement for Nigeria to be able to purchase arms and ammunition. So I operated in France, in Spain, Portugal, Italy, Belgium, Israel, Hungary, and other countries, about 8 of them. So usually my job is to ensure that we get arms for our fighter jets, our warships, artillery pieces, armored vehicles for the Nigerian Army. But I will tell you a story. There was a day a man walked into Nigerian embassy in France, and he requested to see the defense advisor. Unfortunately, that the defense advisor was in Italy, so I was deputizing. And I said, how can we help you? And he said he's in France to buy rockets for our MiG fighters. And I look at this man, and I couldn't believe it because there are ways that arms, the procedures are very hectic, and it's always G to G. G to G means government to government, And here I was facing an individual who has come to buy rockets for the MiG fighters. And I have to quickly call the ambassador and ask the man to sit down because I thought he was a fraud. So eventually we discovered that it is actually true that this guy has been given money in Nigeria he has been given a contract to buy those rockets, and they told him those things can be found in France. So what he needs to do is to go to the Nigerian embassy and see how he can get it, And I told him, this is not going to happen. You cannot come with cash and you want to buy a rocket. Nobody's going to sell it to you. But that's what they told me. So this gives an example of how our defense budget is spent. They just share it to themselves, to their cronies, and they go cap in hand looking for where to buy this thing, like they want to buy tomatoes or pepper, or they want to buy, So it's a joke. And we wrote a report back to Nigeria, and they seem to be aware, But having said that, the challenge, I think, with defense budget is the oversight responsibilities by the Senate. This has created room for a lot of fraud, corruption, and we often do not get what we want. I give one or two examples again. I was an attaché in France, in Israel as well, because I was covering Israel. Then we had problem with our coastlines, where you have all these militants operating freely, bunkers, oil thieves, and we made proposition to the government, just like you are talking about this, George. If we get there, we'll make some comments about it. We make proposition, and we wanted a total radar coverage of Nigerian water, meaning we want to cover our waters from Badagry to Calabar to Bakassi, and deep into the sea, up to like 200 nautical miles, which is the EEZ of Nigeria. EEZ means Exclusive Economic Zone of Nigeria. So that we can sit comfortably in our operation rooms and monitor what goes on at sea. That's what advanced countries do. I remember I was sent to Brazil and we went to check what they had, and they had a very huge maritime control center. So Nigeria wanted to do the same, and I think it was suggested that maybe we go to Israel. So we went to Israel. Not my office, but Nigeria went to Israel. I don't want to mention on air. I could have mentioned the Minister of Defense that did that bad job. He went to Israel and met a company that is called Aeronautics. You can Google it. Aeronautics offered Nigeria, okay, they will give us what we want, and they wanted to give us also 2 maritime patrol aircraft, helicopters, and the radar coverage, because you cannot just see something. If you see something at sea, let's say like 50 nautical miles at sea, you need to now go to investigate what is going on there. So we needed 2 maritime patrol aircraft, some UAVs, and so on. And I also would not like to mention the amount, because as the deputy defense attaché, I have access to all these files. The amount was huge in euros, and they offered to give us. And as the attaché, I was based practically in Paris, so I flew to Tel Aviv to see how far the contract has gone. And I was surprised to find out that after the contract has been signed and sealed, our Nigerian politicians went to tell them that, they should, first of all, they inflated the contract hugely. Let's say something supposed to be like 10,000. They've already inflated to like maybe 100,000. They chopped the one up. They also went back and said, okay, they should remove the maritime patrol aircraft, that we don't need it, and give them the money. So they cut off the maritime patrol. I'm talking about real case. So, and people can also check or verify what I'm saying. And that's why we don't have maritime patrol aircraft today. So they cut it off. They also cut off the UAVs, practically cut off everything except the consoles. The consoles are the radar system that the monitor. Then the radar systems were still there. And I think when I'm very careful not to mention names. When another government came, they reviewed the contract again and paid another money. And they never still got this item.
Wow.
And practically, as I'm talking to you today, this is 2023, we never got those items. It was fully paid for. They shared the money. They were still not satisfied. They went back and cut off all the things that they're supposed to buy. And at the end of the day, they just abandoned the product there. So, if I remember very well, I think in 2004, I was now asked to lead a team. So I led a team of the Chief of Naval Staff. I will still not mention names. And some very senior naval staff, experts in their field. And we went there, and we actually physically saw our items on the ground. And they said Nigeria has refused to come for those items. and it has been paid for. And they were begging us to please come and take it because it's becoming an issue because the warehouse we have to start paying for demurrage for keeping those things there. I can assure you that as of today, we never paid those items. We paid for them.
Wow.
The contract
Wow.
was awarded second
Wow.
time. And perhaps almost the third time, we kept on re-awarding the contracts and people, they were just sharing the money.
Look at this new embarrassment, new calamity, so to speak. The purchase of the presidential yacht by the Navy. I don't understand. The money has not been approved. Before the money was approved, I understand it has been purchased and been delivered. Does that process make sense? One, is it possible for a purchase to be delivered without money being budgeted for, or we're not told the exact truth? Secondly, what is the use or usefulness of a yacht in the fleet of the Navy? What does it serve? Is it a warship? Is it a pleasure, a pleasure trip or pleasure ship? What exactly is this yacht about?
You asked too many questions, but let me take it from the relevance of a yacht. If you go to Royal Navy, they have. If you go to Russian Navy, they have. Let me just use those two examples. Usually, Navy plays two roles: defense and ceremonial. There's what we call flag showing, and a lot of people may not know that if you want to do what they call the fleet review is like you want to do guards inspection in the army,
Parade.
Parade,
Okay.
So the president will march and, inspect the parade, they will do the ceremony. The Air Force, they do the same. So the Air Force also, they have their fleet review. They will fly past, you do independence parade, see the aircraft flying past and see the aircraft and colors and so on.
Yeah.
Navy also has similar program. We call it fleet review. They call it presidential fleet review. Unfortunately, the ships are huge and they are always inside the other lagoon or at sea, and the president has no other way to inspect those warships than to be inside his presidential yacht and basically sail past those warships because they can line up to maybe like 2-3 nautical miles because the standard distance between when at sea, if you put a frigate somewhere, there should be a distance, maybe sometimes 500 meters before the next one, another 500 meters. So by the time you want to see all those ships, you need to be in a yacht where, handled by the experts, the Navy, and you will just sail through and you'll be checking those ships one by one because they are dressed overall in ceremonial and there are men that have manned ships. So we call them, they share as the president sails past. Salute to the president, commander-in-chief. So as he's sailing past, they are using megaphone and they are sharing him.
Okay.
So I listened to a lot of talks, on this issue of yacht. And I was really taken aback. As a professional, when I joined the military in 1982, we had a presidential yacht. And you can check this out. The name of the presidential yacht there is Igina Bereton. It's a John name. And it was used by Shagari extensively for ceremonials. Maybe the Prince Charles visit Nigeria. They will take him on board those yachts. They will take him to sea. They will show him our coastline. They will sometimes even do a fleet review with him. So there's nothing wrong in having a presidential yacht. Because it's not for him. If he leaves, when Shagari left, another person came. We were using this Igina Beraton until it got to a state of disrepair. And the Nigerian Navy now felt that, let us convert this presidential yacht to a training ship. And that is what we did. We repainted the presidential yacht and renamed that yacht Nigerian Navy ship Ruwanyaro,
Hmm.
and I was trained on board Ruwanyaro as a seagoing cadet. So what are we talking about? I will mention a name. The former governor of Ogun State, Olofimoyin, was the commanding officer of Ruwanyaro in 1984-85, and I trained on board that ship. It was a presidential yacht converted to a training ship because it was no longer, it does not fit again that role. It was old, it was a bit dilapidated, and the president cannot use it again. So we converted it to a training ship, and we use it for decades to train. Now, let me come to the other side. The challenge in Nigeria is just that this, for me, I just wonder whether we are also human beings. You see, what people do is that they will go to Italy or maybe some of these yachts that was seized during Russian-Ukrainian war by the West, and they are selling them. One bringing I'm just speculating, you know. They will just go and buy it.
Okay.
Then they will impose it on Nigeria through the party politics and say they should budget for it. The ship is already waiting somewhere. It has been bought. Then they will say they should budget for it. Then they will now bring it in, a used yacht somewhere. That is why that is where the problem is. And you can never pay 5 billion for a yacht. It's not possible. It has been inflated. It's been corrupted. That's why I wonder whether we are human beings. And this will go on and on. And you will see eventually you will see that ship because somebody has already paid for it. So they start bribing each other, continue to bribe the Senate, bribe this one. Maybe the yacht is about $1 billion. They will say it's 5 billion. Then the 4 billion on top will be shared. That is where the problem is. It's not good to be blaming that what do they want to do with presidential yacht. Is necessary for ceremonial, for flag showing. Navy needs it. I remember we even requested for another one when we converted the Guinea-Beraton to a training ship. We requested for another presidential yacht for presidential fleet review. Are you going to dump the president in one tiny boat? Supposing something happened and he fall overboard. A lot of things I saw in my 35 years of military intelligence operations that makes me to be depressed. If you see me, sometimes when I talk, it's because of depression. I'm highly depressed. I will also tell you another, it's not a secret because it's been a long time. We also, during Babangida time in Kabacha, we have this method of keeping our weapons, huge weapons. We have, it was like a policy. We have a way of keeping them with the manufacturers for maintenance and for keep in a very conducive warehousing, because some of the military equipment are very sensitive, like missiles, for example. You can't just buy missiles, bring them to Nigeria and keep them in one store. If you do that, the missiles are going to escape. So we have some depot in France. I won't mention specific type of missiles and companies. We have some depot in France, specifically around Bordeaux. And we have some in Milan area in Italy, where we keep very sophisticated, huge weapons, But what is important in this case was that I went to, because I was covering Italy, so I went to a company they call Cantieri to see how well are we maintaining this, are they maintaining this? I'm talking about artillery pieces, armor tanks, pulse whizzers, 105 mm pulse whizzers, and so on. And the Italians were telling us that, come, this thing has been lying here for so long, and our demurrage then was thousands of euros, And it's like we may not get these items except we pay the demurrage. We also have some helicopters, in Italy, all these anti-submarine helicopters and so on. Because during the civilian era, during Shagari, we were very ambitious. We were leading Africa. We bought the most sophisticated warships, NNS Aradu, that's Nigerian Navy ship Aradu. we have the frigates from Britain, the Arado was from Germany. I commanded Patron 3 fast attack crafts with missiles and so on. We were very ambitious. So it is very, very disheartening, very depressing to see what these politicians are doing today. I feel depressed, I can tell you that I'm having what they call post-service traumatic disorder, because when I see the evidence of billions that this country has spent, it makes me sad. That's why immediately I left the military, I went into academics just to keep myself busy. It's a very sorrowful thing when you see what Nigeria does with their defense budget. I can talk on and on, but there are some that I cannot say on the air today, because it's not going to augur well for this country when people find out what they do with their defense budget and how they share the money. There's what they call the budget oversight responsibilities. The budget oversight responsibilities by the Senate. So the Navy can say, okay, we want a particular warship, this class, to be able to perform this particular role. Everything we go through, first reading, all those process, then by the time the money is released, somebody will just hijack the money and say, why do we need this? It's too sophisticated. Can we maintain it? Meanwhile, the money has been released. Everything has been discussed. Because I agree, money released. Then they start querying the Navy. They start querying the Navy. Why do you want this? Now they say, okay, instead of going to, I'll give a very sorrowful example. The best country that can give us Super Dvora and Shaldag, those people that are in the Navy listening to me, we understand these terms, are Israelis. And I facilitated that process. We're supposed to get two class of ship that we call the SAR-4. You can Google all this. They have sophisticated and how advanced those ships were. And after all said and done, they collected the money and simply went to Turkey. Some just carried the cash, went to Singapore, some went to China, buying Chinese ship and all these horrible things you are saying that we cannot maintain today. So it's a very sorrowful state. And you feel like crying, or you just feel like leaving this country and just go quietly somewhere and sit. These people that are in government in the past years they're supposed to be tried for treason. Supposed to be tried for treason, condemned, and they should shoot them at the stake. These are worse than you can never know. You are a journalist. Things are really bad. The corruption is horrible. And the people that are there, sometimes when I look at them in the face, I wonder whether they're actually Nigerians. I believe some of these things are foreigners just here to destroy this country. Wait. Because I don't see any Nigerian that will do what they say. I don't want to mention names on air, otherwise I should mention names of minister of this, minister of that just stole money and disgraced our country. How can the Israelis be begging me to help them beg Nigeria to come and take what we have paid for? And they will not take it, and it's there. When I went to Fincantieri in Milan, in Italy, and I know people, I don't want to mention names as well, because some of them are in Abuja, they may not understand, they may not be listening to your program. They were begging us to come and take our armor tanks, our 105 horse wheels, that's the artillery pieces, and so many, the ammunition and so on. And they say, oh, I don't want to also mention the Minister of Defense then. You understand? They say that it's too expensive, that we can't afford it. We can't pay the demurrage. And so we would rather leave those things there.
Forfeit it.
I actually don't want to talk about the governors. I don't want to talk about them.
Why? Why, Prof? Why?
Because if I talk, maybe I'll be too harsh on them. These are not human
Don't they
beings.
need you?
Most of them are not human beings. So why should we talk about people that you wonder whether they are even normal, you know? Okay, let me just give you an idea. In 2008, 2009, I was the chief security officer to a governor. Okay, let me mention the state, Enugu State. I was the CSO to a governor in Enugu State. I mean, I worked with, you can see the linkage, how it works. I work with Sergeant Rogers. I work with Major Mustafa. There's a seamless linkage from the national to the state to the local government. Now, this same government you want me to talk about, they have killed the local government completely. If you want to talk about security, it's from the grassroots now. They kill, they earn their money. They don't allow their money to go to the local government. So he sits in the capital, driving jeep up and down, blowing siren up and down, you know, stealing money. Then you want me to advise him as how he should secure the state? He will go and bring his brother and make him CSO. He will go and bring his relative, maybe his wife's brother, he will make him CSO. I don't need to advise them. They are not professional. They don't even know what they are doing. They think they are just governors to eat money and become rich and harass people and use talk to be killing their political. They think that's why they are governors. It's not a rocket science. Get a professional to be your chief security officer, and you go to bed and sleep. Then they give you security vote. You just think security vote is for you to sleep and carry women to places and go and be sleeping around with women. So that's what security vote is meant for. I don't want to discuss that. Please, let's have made some discussion or conversation on this issue. The question of the civil oversight responsibility to defend and the procedure that Nigeria has established over the years. For me, there's nothing really wrong with the procedure. It is the operator of that procedure. The kind of human beings that I've seen in corridor of powers over the years is just baffling. In fact, sometimes I used to think that maybe this is hell, and this is hell. We talk about heaven or hell, and God has put all of us here in hell and give us those kind of leaders to grind us. That sometimes when I think deeply, I say, why is this happening? Because it doesn't happen in other climes, where the procedure is laid down based on the constitution that we are using. We can't just change the constitution because some individuals that are there are just like devils incarnate, So how do you change the constitution and change the process and the procedure of purchasing arms? The Navy, because I don't want to really, I was deputy director in PMED. Those people in the Navy, when they hear what I said, when I say PMED, they understand. Basically, PMED is, project implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. So I was exposed to fires. If you want to purchase a warship, helicopter gunships, you want to build hospitals, whatever the Navy wants to do. So we are the one that, my office then, my job is to ensure that due diligence are followed and things are done properly. And I stepped on so many toes because I ran into files where a lot of contracts have been awarded for the Navy, and they ate the money. And I said, no, we have to go through this, make sure we recover the money. And I remember I recovered more than 2 point something billion, within a span of 4 months. And Eventually, I was removed from that office because I was too difficult. So, I mean, it's not something we should be saying on the air, but these are things they can verify. So, the challenge is that when the Navy say, okay, they are requesting for a particular warship, that's what we can do. The Navy will make a requisition. It goes to budget defense. Chief of Accounts and Budget in Nigeria will go there to defend it, and some experts will go with them. And they will, when they accept, that is the end. How the contract is awarded, we don't know. It's not our business. We don't go to, where they are doing the contract. Sometimes they will just tell us that, okay, the ship is ready. We should go to Singapore. We should go to China. Then we prepare people to go there for training. They will train on those ships. And sometimes you will be surprised that the ship, as we are selling the ship from China, when we get to South Africa, it will break down there. The new ship will break down in South Africa. Now, had cases, to send signals and send people to South Africa to go and repair ships that are just coming in. It's horrible. It's horrible. Because once the money is given to the politician, they go and get like a Tokumbo ship or maybe one very inferior ship that will rust away within 2 years. It will rot away at sea. The metal they use as substandard, the thickness, everything, the construction is just a wax. They just share the money. Having left the system in 2017, we have a professional angle to some of these things that you can discuss certain issues after 10 years. Okay? Because yes, you can declassify information. I'm an expert in intelligence operations. So people may think I'm talking frivolously or I'm saying things that I'm not supposed to say. I know I can declassify information after 10 years. In United States, FBI, CIA, KGB, they have time, they declassify information. The death of Kennedy, for instance, was said to be declassified after 50 years. So it depends on how injurious the exposure of such information will be to national security. That's how you classify the number of years. So if one minister has money that is meant for defense and 10 years has passed, talking about 20,
you can expose him.
2003, 2007. So look at how many years ago. So I can say what I'm saying. Because maybe the man has died, The guy that had the money, maybe by now he has died. So I can say certain things and I know what I'm saying because I know what security is in the real sense of it. So I'm not saying what I'm not supposed to say.
Yeah.
So I think the challenge is in the system. The system is endemically corrupt that sometimes I wonder why Nigeria is still surviving. How we are surviving, I still don't know. But the kind of money these people steal away.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle that we are still working this way.
Is there an end to all this? Is it a lacuna? Is it all about choices of who we vote for at the end of the day? What exactly is going on? Is it
okay, I like that question because I think the essence of this conversation, is to find a solution to the problem. And I would like to refer you to one of the greatest philosophers after Sun Tzu. His name is von Clausewitz. What he simply did, his own state has this kind of problem. You see what we are discussing, corruption, drug dealers, all these people, you see, some of them are into so many dirty things, okay? So he has this same problem. And he was a military guy. And he came up with a theory. He said, he simply micromized a society. He said that a society is classified into the government, the security. In other words, during his time, he mentioned the military. So the government, the military, and the people. These three triangle, these three people, they make up of a society. There's nobody in government, whether Bath or whoever they are, that did not evolve from the people. They were once a poor people, just like some of us before they became president or governor or senator. They evolved from the people. Okay? So Clausewitz says that the military also evolved from the people. I went to the military in 1982. I was a local boy in Ilaro State, somewhere. I went to normal primary school and so on. I emerged from the people and I became a military officer. And I grew to be a one-star. So a society is made up of those three: the government, the people, and the military. But he said, he gave a warning that the people is paramount. The people has the power. When you talk about sovereignty, the power belongs to the people because they are the ones that sent their representatives to the army, to the government house, to the Senate. So whatever those people are their servants. They are there to work for them. They surrender their sovereignty to them. But you know what Nigerian politicians have done? Once they get there, when they are sent out, you vote for them, you send out. They now weaponize poverty. Because when you are so poor and wretched and cannot feed, you won't have strength to talk the way I'm talking. So the challenge, if I say the challenge, you will not believe me. The challenge is actually the people. The people had a problem. All those people that carry talks, carry ballot box, all those ones that complain for people when they are doing election, those people that change the paper at, what do you call this, INEC. All those people working in INEC, are they not people? Are they military? Are they in government? They are not. If you are working in INEC, you are just somebody's father, somebody's mother. You know, if you use copper and they say you should go and man one polling unit, you are somebody's sister and brother, and you are there also collecting money. So the people had the problem. They forgot that they have the power to remove these people, to kick them out, just like the French Revolution. People took power to their hands, went to Versailles. I was in Paris, so I used to visit the place, and beheaded the king. Carry his wife, took him to Trocadero, put out that guillotine, and beheaded her. And the French system changed. So what gives these people power over you? And that's why sometimes when I talk on the air, you think I'm annoyed. No, I'm just upset that why should a governor think he has the power over me? I'm respecting the office of the governor. And if the individual in that office is a criminal, I have no respect for him. And then some people think I'm arrogant. I don't have respect for you. You are just a human being like me. You came from a village somewhere and somehow you got into a position of power and you became a nuisance to the society. So the solution is for people to take power to their hands and kick out some of these criminals that you have in government. The problem in this country are the people. It's not this government. But they evolve from the people. The military that keep people and start shooting people, are they not from the people? The military guy that commanded that I know the guy. He has a mother, he has a father, he has brothers. He emerged from the people. So people should take their sovereignty back from this rascal and get second time their independence.